Awesome. Welcome, everybody. Pete, good to see you, sir.
Good to see you too, Ryan. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, this has been one that you and I have been talking about for a long time. So this is pretty fun to have launched and get going now with you guys.
Yeah, I'm so excited for how this came out. And yeah, it's been a little while, Ryan. A lot of coordination, right?
Absolutely. So, but working with your team has been awesome, and then the end result here, like, it's something to be pretty proud of. So it's going to be fun to walk people through this stuff today.
Yeah, for sure.
We've got people joining us right now, so they're just coming on. We can give it a minute or two here as we get going. But where are people from? Throw it in the chat. Let's start getting the chat working here. Make sure that we've got everything there. Where do we have people dialing in from today? Pete, where are you? Where are you dialing in from?
Garden State, New Jersey, Ryan.
Nice. How's everything out there these days?
It's good. We're in the throes of summer. Weather's been beautiful, so can't complain.
Awesome. Well, it looks like we got a lot of the kind of end to end, top to bottom, and side to side. We got Orlando and all the way up in Canada here, and then we're Seattle and Utah, Atlanta, Minneapolis, or so we got some good coverage out there, which is awesome. Um, nice. Well, few housekeeping details to get going here. Um, we've got the chat here, which people have found and we're rolling with. We'll have some few polls going throughout this, so watch the polls. Um, we're curious on some of these things. So if you're in the polls area there, are you offering solar today? Like, that's a big question of, are people already offering solar? Are they looking to get into it? We find a lot of contractors. We're going to talk mainly from the perspective of residential roofing contractors today. There's just so much opportunity for roofing contractors to be getting into solar. Pete, what are you hearing these days about roofing contractors and solar and the chatter out there and what's going on?
I think it's another opportunity for an upsell. I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, I focus on solar for EagleView, but from my perspective, I see a lot more exterior contractors, I think, than just roofing, right? And there's just so many different sales opportunities that could be made. Just with the political and climate change that's happening right now, there's a lot of drivers creating a lot of demand for solar, and truthfully, coming from the solar industry, there's just not enough, there's not enough contractors out there to meet the incoming demand for solar. So it's just really exciting, and an opportunity that I see, and one of the things that makes me really excited seeing roofers get into solar is, solar company, the solar industry is really still in its like infancy stages, right? It's not very big in the US. It hasn't been around as long as roofing, where when I see roofing contractors getting into solar, they bring a level of maturity into the business, and just I see a much better focus on that homeowner themselves and doing what's right for them, so I'm excited to see the roofing industry starting to get into solar. There's a lot of natural crossover anyway, and I think there's a level of maturity coming from the roofing industry that I think are going to shake up the solar contractors out there quite a bit.
Yeah, all the forecasts that I see out there is just for double-digit growth on solar over the next 10 years here and going. So the opportunity is certainly there. And even just anecdotally, like, I just know flying into places like even Denver these days, or Phoenix or Dallas or throughout Florida, like, the number of roofs that I see having solar installed on them, it's it's exponential to where it was even 5 or 6 years ago. Like, I
Yeah,
hardly ever saw it back then, and now it's far more commonplace, is what it seems like out there.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Well, let's do this. Let's dive into things. So we've got on our screen here, big thing that we want to talk about is we want to dig into the numbers. We want to talk about how you can adopt solar, and then really what the opportunity is and how to structure it and stuff. But we've got on the screen here solar sales. It's really insurance sales 2.0 sort of thing when you think of from a roofing contractor's perspective. Excuse me. And we're going to dig into all those details and be able to kind of show you and walk through with you the similarities and how those things intersect in the type of things that it takes to adopt insurance sales versus solar sales. And so if you've adopted insurance in any way, or you have any roofing contractor friends out there that love it when a big storm hits, you'll quickly see how significant the opportunity is and how similar it is to add something like solar as well. But before we dig into that, let me see if I can, let's get going here. Pete, you're currently the VP of Solar over at EagleView there. We got a few things on the screen here. Give us an introduction of yourself. What have you been up to over your career over the last couple of decades or so?
Yeah. So, I started in solar in 2010 for Trinity Solar. At the time when I joined, I think there was about 50 employees. By the time I left in 2018, there was about over 2,000 employees. So it was cool. I mean, in solar years, I'm kind of a grandfather because 2010 is really when the industry started, got started here in the U.S. And I had this really exciting and unique position of just seeing that tremendous growth with Trinity Solar and just seeing the market explode. And around that 2018 mark, I recognized how much of an opportunity EagleView had to sort of take their technologies, point them at the solar industry, and really start to create some cool tools that are really going to help the deployment of solar in this country. So 2018, I started with EagleView on the product team. I worked on things like the EagleView app, suggested waste factor, a few other products. And in 2020, I was given the opportunity to create the solar division, and just really excited to be here. Again, just that reputation and position that we have in the roofing industry of the trusted source of truth for roof measurements. That's the same position that we're bringing to solar. So taking our technologies and our capabilities, pointing it at the solar use case specifically, and creating products that really hit the mark for the solar industry in a very unique way, all based on the accuracy that we've been known for. So really excited to be in a position I am, and just excited to get more solar out there.
Absolutely, man. Well, and I remember you and I connected back in 2019 was the first time. And back then, just because there was so much opportunity between SumoQuote and EagleView and the accuracy of the measurements, and then how quickly and easily those could be turned into something really powerful for a contractor and SumoQuote differentiating themselves from their competitors, building quotes really quickly, and then just closing deals and upgrades. So yeah, I mean, from my side here, like I'm the CEO at SumoQuote. SumoQuote was started by my partners and I from a large roofing company up in Canada here. And so I ran sales at Epic Roofing Exteriors for years and years. And as a part of over there, we were trying to figure out how do we really stand out from the competition. We know that we can provide this great production experience, great warranty experience, and really we were fortunate to grow to be the largest residential roofing contractor in our province up here. But we had to compete with everybody. So we needed to show the homeowner at that point of sale that they could trust us, that we were professional in everything that we did. And so these professionally, graphic design quotes is what we led with. And man, our closing rates went up, our margins went up, our upgrades went up, everything just went up. So that's where we knew we kind of stumbled onto something, and we built it out for the industry. And it's been really fun because I was just looking at some of the numbers, but I think it was over the last 18 months here, we've had over $2 billion of contracts signed in SumoQuote. So it's being used, and it's pretty successful out there these days, which is fun.
Yeah, and it's from my perspective, it's been really exciting to just see the SumoQuote tool evolve. And I mean, great, kudos to you and your team. And I know it's from all the homework that you guys do. I know you put a lot of thought behind this tool and how it functions, and really cool to just see the progress that you've made over the years.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, man. Well, let's dig into it here. So we got a lot of ground to cover. We want to go through a little bit on that education side, and then we're going to jump into a bit of a demo so that you can see exactly how TrueDesign works, exactly how SumoQuote Solar works, and start to get an idea of how we can help you adopt solar if you aren't in solar already, or if you are in solar and selling roofs, just how seamless that roof and solar can be sold together, sort of thing. So let's jump over here. I want to talk and just mention at first here, like solar is an absolutely fantastic diversification strategy. Our business here, we're no longer just a residential roofing contractor. We bought a second residential roofing brand. We have a large commercial roofing company now. We own a restoration company. And that diversification, as we've gone through it, we've had some big hits and we've had some misses. We tried a landscaping company. We tried a design build company. We didn't succeed in either of those. But as we were going through it, ultimately, we've seen way more upside from this, and it's because we've got way more revenue coming in now. There's way less risk because we're diversified across sort of multiple industries and stuff here, although very complementary of each other. Our core business on the residential roofing side there, we weren't necessarily in a decline, but it had stabilized. We've done really well there. And we were looking for ways to sort of keep that growth pushing. And so really the reason that we see solar as such a massive opportunity for roofing contractors out there, it's the synergies. It's this fourth line here. You've got something with massive revenue upside that you can easily adopt with minimal risk. And you've got that synergy with it. But that's what gives it positions a contractor for this being something that it should probably be top of the list as far as opportunities to diversify into here as we look at this. Pete, what are you seeing as far as contractors, thinking about adopting solar and just how that fits within the industry or within their business?
Yeah, from a sales perspective, I think diversification is extremely important when it comes to getting the most out of your leads, right? Understanding that, based on our research, we see that 20% of new solar systems need a new roof at the time of install, but around 40% should actually have that new roof at the time of install. So like for a solar contractor, the requirement of needing a re-roof will typically kill a deal unless they're positioned to offer that re-roof along with it. So, on your slide here, you're getting into customer acquisition costs. So in solar, customer acquisition costs are almost amongst the highest of many industries, higher than the automobile industry. So from a diversification standpoint, being able to make the most out of your leads, being able to sell one or multiple products is extremely important. And especially as it comes to solar, it's for solar contractors, it's very hard for them to find interested home buyers that are the right economic, situation with the right roof to have solar. The other part of that too is from a technology perspective, the solar technology is continuing to move from a retrofit install more to a roof integrated install. So the best time to put solar on your roof is actually when you're getting that re-roof from like a warranty perspective and just quality of install. So
yeah, as we've gone through with the industry, the stuff that we've been hearing out there is to qualify a homeowner, there's really four main things in qualifying a homeowner on it, right? The first is going to be, do they own their home, right? They have to own their home in order to, sign off to have solar installed on it. What is their consumption? So grabbing an energy bill and being able to insert and sort of analyze for them the consumption that they've got and whether there's an appropriate ROI for them. Do they pay taxes? Which sounds like a funny one, but you've got people on fixed income and other scenarios where they won't be able to take advantage of this 30% federal tax credit. So the ROI may not make as much sense for them. It may be more of a stretch if they can't actually take advantage of that. And then the fourth one in there, which is the big one and kills a lot of deals, as you had mentioned there, but what's the condition of the roof? Like one of the four main qualifiers is the roof of the right condition or age to have solar installed on it. So anytime a new roof is being put on, that is absolutely the ideal time to be talking about solar and bringing it up, because you've already got one of those four big ones that could essentially kill a deal if it's a solar person trying to sell and install, being covered off that this is the right time for solar to be included in this. So, Pete, let's keep going here. I want to dig in a little bit more on this topic of insurance sales to solar sales and just how similar these types of things are. Again, I know with our roofing company, insurance sales has been a massive part of our growth. We're in an area, a bit of a hail belt in Canada here. And so a couple big storms in 2020 and 2021. In 2021, we had two of our sales guys each sell over $8 million of work in a year. There was no multifamily. There was no $1 million, $2 million projects in there. It was all residential. Biggest job might have been 70 grand kind of thing. And so it was setting up this process of using Xactimate, using SumoQuote, closing deals, high close rates, selling upgrades, easy digital signatures. But like that revenue opportunity, this first one here, it's a significant revenue opportunity. One of my colleagues at the roofing company, a guy named Travis Johnson, he would always say, you can't market your way to the volume of leads that a storm brings. Like there's no amount that you can spend on Google Ads or anything else to get you the sheer volume of work that a storm can help bring. And that's similar with solar. Like the revenue opportunity with solar is so significant. And we'll walk through some calculations on that stuff to show you, but it's like the only thing comparable is a big storm on how much revenue it can actually help contribute to your business there as well. The second one with insurance sales is there's a unique set of knowledge. So in insurance sales, you have to figure out what's an RCV, what's an ACV. There might be some specific policy language. You need to know what, adjusters and who they are and how they function. There's all sorts of kind of complexity, within that. But it's all, once you've figured it out, you're like, oh, of course it's worth the time and energy. Once I figured it out, there's millions of dollars of opportunity here. So solar is very similar, right? You need to figure out kilowatt hours versus kilowatts and offsets and a bunch of these things. And what we're going to provide to everybody here today is we've just written an ebook called The Roofer's Guide to Solar. So that it's essentially a compilation of hundreds of interviews that we've done across the solar industry and bringing in all of this kind of base knowledge that you need to get going here in a very easy way so that you feel comfortable adding that. But there's a bit of a unique set of knowledge you need. There's some specific technology you need. In insurance, it's Xactimate, right? Nobody would use Xactimate if it wasn't for insurance, like if it didn't stem from that. For solar here, the beautiful part is it's EagleView and SumoQuote. It's TrueDesign and SumoQuote Solar here. So it's already something that can be used for your retail quotes, your insurance quotes, your measurements, but now it's pulling in your designs and your solar presentations. So, and we're going to take you through a bit of a demo of that. And then lastly, there's a bit of operational adjustments with it, right? I actually like the next slide here for being able to walk through that again. And again, it's just sort of highlighting this comparison still, but really kind of showing you on this grid, insurance sales is actually more similar to solar sales than it is to retail sales, right? Like if you're looking at retail versus insurance versus solar, insurance and solar are far more similar for a bunch of those reasons we were talking about. But insurance sales, number of trades, you're typically, roofing, siding, metals, maybe paint, garage doors, man doors, windows, whether it's replacement of windows or just cracked window repairs. Like there's all these trades you need to manage, and you do it because there's so much revenue and profit with it. With solar, it's more of a additional single type trade. And the nice thing is there's EPCs out there that really can make it very hands-off for you and very simple to be able to get that solar work completed. Pete, you've been in the industry a long time. Do you want to walk us through quickly what an EPC is?
Yeah. So it's an acronym for engineering, procurement, and construction. It's an acronym that really just means that, well, let me give you a little bit of my experience here. When I started in solar, the theory or concept there was that you had to sell it and you had to install it yourselves. And that was very difficult, right? Because it required you to have a sales organization, operations, electricians, people that'll get on a roof. And it was really difficult. What I've seen since then is really a bifurcation in the industry where not every company is doing everything themselves. So what an EPC will do is they will permit and install jobs that were sold by somebody else. And that allows organizations to really focus on a core competency, be it sales or be it operations. So an EPC is somebody that you can bring in that will actually permit and install your job. So you don't necessarily need to have the electrical experience. You don't need to know about the structural permits or any of those things that go into getting the project actually on the roof. And the benefit to them is that, just like we covered, customer acquisition costs are extremely high. It's hard to make these sales when you're only out there just selling solar. So as an EPC, they really benefit from organizations who could just help them sell, and they'll take it over the finish line.
Yeah, no, as we've dug into it, like a few massive opportunities there. One is just the simplicity of helping a contractor get into solar where they can start to sell it and then be able to partner with an EPC to take care of anything that they feel uncomfortable with on the install and permitting and CAD drawings, whatever else is included on that side. The other advantage there is EPCs typically have access to products at discounted prices that if you were trying to source the panels yourself, you're not going to get the types of pricing that they can get. So just the price difference of being able to utilize an EPC, it doesn't create significant costs on there. Like there's less of an advantage to trying to take it over yourself than by using an EPC as well, which is really interesting. So, and by the way, I'm sure, Pete would know, but SumoQuote here, we've started connecting with a lot of EPCs. Some are nationwide, some are local. But if you're looking to adopt solar, and one of the things that's holding you back is connecting with a good EPC, feel free to reach out to us, and we're happy to try and make some introductions for you as well for your region there. So,
yeah, and that's Ryan, if I could just make a point on that,
please.
One of the major benefits there, especially if you're getting into solar new, is you don't have to be a solar expert to get into solar. These EPCs want the installs, they want the work. They will help you, they will coach you on what material to sell. And truthfully, the solar sale is more about selling savings on electricity than it is components, right? So you don't necessarily need to know all the technical ins and outs of the solar system. So that's another really good benefit there, is they take the heavy lift off of that expertise required to actually get it on the roof. So to sell solar, you really don't need to be an expert. They're going to help you out there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So awesome. Here, let's keep digging through this one. Again, just to wrap up this comparison on insurance and solar, I found it really interesting when you're thinking about a tech stack. Like there's third-party data that you're relying on with whether it's insurance or solar, not so much on retail. Insurance, it's going to be Xactimate pricing and stuff like that. Solar, it's going to be your designs, and again, where TrueDesign steps in and stuff like that, and what the production is that can be created, and shade data analysis and everything else. It's also going to be utility company, utility plans, escalation rates, calculations of offset with that. So I'm throwing out a bunch of jargon, but there's a lot of that stuff. It's all just integrated into the back end of SumoQuote. Like we've got a lot of third-party data coming in to make it very easy for you to use and adopt at the end of the day. But the sales details, there is an increased complexity with insurance and solar. Like you need to educate and guide people through a little bit more. Again, part of the reason why we wrote this book, The Roofer's Guide to Solar. Sales team is the same. Production, you're using sub labor, right? If it's retail, you might have some in-house labor. But insurance, again, because the multiple trades and everything, like anybody in insurance, typically you are using a degree of sub labor for the different trades that you're using and stuff. Solar, it's just one additional one, which is nice. And then your sales process. And actually your sales process, I put a bit of a diagram together because again, just this opportunity of you're already running a roofing company, now we're adding solar in here, just to again reinforce like the similarities on what's going on here, right? So you can see our roofing sales process and our solar sales process here. So you've already got the lead. You're not paying extra for that. We've talked about that already. You need to do an inspection. With solar, you're typically calling it a site survey, and there's just a couple of extra things you need to get in there, right? Whether it's photos of the panel and just ensuring sort of what the access is, any additional things. So not complicated, but you're already on site. You just need to grab some additional details, measurements, designs, right? Again, the reason we partnered with EagleView is they were already best in class for the most accurate measurements. Now they've really changed the game on the shade data and the design side, which we'll walk you through here right away as well. Proposal, SumoQuote, use it for both of them, easy. Installation, solar, you're always getting a permit on that, so it's permitting an installation, but super similar as you look at both of these. Again, why SumoQuote, we're so excited to get into solar, because it complements our main user base of roofing contractors out there so seamlessly. So to equip our roofing contractors just on this massive opportunity for them. So, okay, I wanted to spend a few minutes and basically give you an idea, rather than just say there's a massive revenue opportunity. This is data from a large EPC. They're semi-national. They did like $1 billion of work last year. They gave us their data across a whole bunch of states that they work in here. And so I wanted to be able to actually show you and let you see some of how the numbers flush out with this. So I'm going to go right to left across on this. So on the right side, we've got our average EPC cost, right? The cost that you would pay for getting them to install this. The next one over is your net price per watt. And essentially the difference between those two is going to be your profit, right? In a very simple way here. Now, as you're going through selling a solar job, this is often a conversation of comparing monthly costs, right? Of comparing what your utility monthly cost is compared to a financing monthly cost on things. And there's all sorts of advantages that solar plans can help with adding roofs in there as well and spreading that roofing financing out over 20, 25, 30 years as well. But there's some significant dealer fees there. And so that needs to be included as we're analyzing this stuff. There's an average adder, or, and that's just stuff like whether it's batteries or microinverters, or, even if it's, decking or, two-layer tears, like any additional costs that come in over your standard sort of project for a roof and solar. So you've got your average adders in there, where they typically talk about as price per watt as well. And then ultimately that goes to your average sale price, your average price per watt. And then the final one there is the average system size that's being sold or installed these days across all of these states by this massive company. So let's simplify this even a little bit, all right? So what I said was you've got your average EPC cost, then you've got your average net price per watt, the difference there being your main profit. When you average the difference between those two against your average system size, very simply, that's your average profit on it. So you sell the job, here is your average profit across all of these different states out there for how much money you can make for selling solar with your roofing job as well. So if we're going to look at that, the average roofing job out there, according to Forbes in 2022, was approximately 11,500. I threw on a 38% gross margin. I know it's often talked about sort of in that 35 to 40%. Some people will argue 45, 50, whether that's before or after commissions, staying out of sort of all that stuff. But 38% from what we've seen is sort of a very average middle of the road out there. Your average profit on a roofing job is $4,300, $4,370 sort of thing. When you add in solar, using the data from that previous page, when I calculated it all with all of the, whether it was $6,000 in Wyoming or whatever, up to 13,500, when you averaged all that stuff out, your average profit from a solar sale is $9,936, which is adding an additional 227% profit to your job there. Like it's unbelievable. It's like selling, you sell one roofing job, it's like selling 2.25 more roofs as well with that from the profitability side of things. And this is what gets me so excited, is just how much revenue and profit is available there. Pete, like, you've been in this industry a long time. I'm running through a whole bunch of numbers over the last few slides here. Like, what comments would you have on the numbers, what you're seeing, what the opportunity is, profitability, revenues, kind of any of that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I almost just want to like recap on what you presented, because really what you're selling to a homeowner is savings on electricity. And we'll get into that a little bit more here in the demo, but you're saving these homeowners money on electricity by providing them with an asset that'll be on their home for the next 20, 25 years. So it's just that the numbers are very high, but the savings is still there for the homeowner. And then this is all fueled and supported as well by government and state subsidies in some cases. So the 30% tax credit, right? So there's just a lot of benefit for the homeowner to move forward with this. And fortunately, as a contractor, there's a lot to gain and benefit from as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Pete, I know we got a couple of slides here. Let me hit this again. We're just going to touch really quickly here on a little bit on shade data because of how important this is. And then we're going to jump from there into a demo so that people can kind of see how this all works and how easy it is to work with.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, you just pulled up the workflow slide a little bit ago, right? And for a roofing job, you go from measurements to proposal to installation. And we all know, like, it's important that those measurements are accurate to get to installation so your materials are right. Well, in the solar workflow, you go from designing the system to the proposal to permitting and installation. Accuracy is equally as important there, right? Like, where it's a little bit different though is that solar can get a little bit more complicated because it's not just about linear measurements, how big the roof is, how much material is required. For solar, what really matters is how many solar modules can fit on that roof and how much electricity are they going to produce. So the reason that shade is so important, or the measurement of shade is so important, is because the amount of electricity that a system will generate is directly correlated to how much sunlight it receives. And the amount of electricity that that system will generate is directly correlated to the project cost and the return on investment for the homeowner. So everything is predicated on how many modules are going to fit and how much sunlight is going to hit those modules. And if you could flip to the next slide, Ryan, give a little background or image to what I'm talking about here. So what you're looking at here is a screenshot of TrueDesign. So we've taken the same foundational technologies that EagleView has used for almost 2 decades now, generating very accurate 3D measurements of a roof, and we've layered on some things here to better suit the solar use case. So what you can see on this roof is also all of the roof obstructions, all the vents with heights associated with them. You can't necessarily put a solar module over a plumbing vent, right? You might have to move that plumbing vent, or you got to find a new spot for the module. But then what you see on here, which is probably the biggest change, is this heat map. You see some different color blues on this roof. And what that represents is the amount of sunlight that is hitting that roof over the course of a year. So the way that we do this, the same way that we pull a 3D model of a roof out of our aerial imagery, we're also recreating an entire digital surface model around this roof to very accurately represent all of the vegetation and structures around this house, which are going to block the sunlight from hitting the roof. So we measure these shade values every 6 inches for every 15 minutes throughout the year. We track the sun position and we watch it every 6 inches to measure how much sunlight is hitting. So if you couple that very accurate measurement of sunlight hitting the roof with the accurate measurements of the roof itself, you get to basically, in a very easy way, you can quickly understand what system can be installed on this roof and how much energy it's going to produce in a very accurate manner. So
well, that's the crazy part to me. Like you talk about that every 6 inches and every 15 minutes, like that's the part that blows my mind on how different that would be from the other tools that we've seen out there and stuff, like just in the accuracy of that shade data. The comment that I heard, I've heard this one multiple times, but I've got a good buddy that's sold solar for years in California. He said upwards of 50% of jobs are canceled, and it's often because what they've promised at that point of sale can't actually be produced with the number of modules that they've quoted on it. Because when they get to permitting and their CAD drawings, when they do more of an analysis on the data is just not good, which is why this is such an incredible solution for, to partner with you guys on this.
Yeah, and a big driver for when we built TrueDesign was to make sure that the user did not need that solar design experience to get to a real answer. And it's not only for ease of use that they didn't need solar design experience, it's because all of the other tools on the market to get to an answer like this require solar design experience, and the shade scene is built manually, the roofs are built manually. So the results that come out of that, they're going to vary from home to home or from user to user, right? So we've taken that complication out of this with TrueDesign, and it fits especially well for roofers because you don't need to have that solar design experience. You don't need to have a solar design team to do all of this. And you know that what you're promising the homeowner is what's going to be installed, and that savings from day one that you told them they're going to receive is actually what they are going to receive. When we see changes in shade, it typically doesn't get better. It typically gets worse, meaning payments go up, the return on investment may not be as good, and ultimately you create a distrust with the homeowner that you're lucky if you even keep the sale. If it typically doesn't get better from what I've seen. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, let's do this. Honestly, we're here today because we see how SumoQuote Solar, EagleView TrueDesign, it's really the easiest way to help roofing contractors add solar to the business today. So let's jump into a demo. Before we jump there, I just want to make a note so that I remember to come back to it. We've got a handful of sort of sales kind of tips or tricks for ways that you can really make it easy to sell solar in different types of ways. So I've got some slides on that I want to touch on right at the very end. But for now, let's get out of here. And what I want to do is I just want to start with, this is the output of what SumoQuote's going to help you create in order to be able to sell solar. And we put a ton of energy into this because there's a lot of complexity behind it. And yet I think what we've done is created something very simple to use, as Pete was talking about with TrueDesign, where it's very, very user friendly, that you don't have to have these really specialized people to put it together. So SumoQuote, your typical quote you're going through, you've got a nice cover page with the client's house on there. You can have a nice introduction. You create a pre-built presentation package so that you kind of got your same structure each time. We've got different marketing pages that we could include. By the way, we've got some really cool stuff. Like we've got a link embedded in here. These pages are available for you for the different manufacturers out there. So chat with your customer success manager at SumoQuote, because I think we've got about 60 different pre-built Canva marketing pages with all sorts of interesting things that you can add your logo to and stuff like that here as well. Roofing contractors, you're often sharing photos with the homeowner, so a nice inspection page here. Here's where we start to get into some of the specialized stuff for solar. This one is just a marketing page, but it's one that we provide to you as you start selling solar, and it really gives you all those key talking points for what gets homeowners excited and what drives them to make a decision towards solar. So we provide this one to you in here. This is where we needed to actually completely design brand new pages in order to add solar. So the first one here, our system overview page, being able to directly from TrueDesign very seamlessly pull in the system size, the panels, the average total solar resource fraction, putting in the homeowner's actual house and the design that you've put together for them directly in here. And then the whole analysis of the expected offset and the production consumption. So there's some really simple ways to put that data in or to do the design, and then SumoQuote's going to spit out a very beautiful but also very helpful presentation to walk a homeowner through these things. So these are kind of your standard sales motions or conversations that you're having with this. Likewise, we want to keep it in a very simple and straightforward way, a very clear way for people to understand. So your average conversation on the solar side, you're really talking about an analysis of your monthly cost or cash flow. So it's talking about what are you paying right now for electricity, what sort of escalation is there, your average inflation added to that, and then what is financing, how in here is with this system, what are you gonna have to pay from a financing perspective in that month-to-month comparison. One of the things that we talked about internally and we were very intentional with was we wanted to make sure that we were transparent, that you don't go to a zero utility bill. And depending on the system size that you have, whether it's 80% offset or 110% offset, there will still be some fixed costs that are there with your utility bill. And so we're pulling in the data from their actual utility companies or company, so that that's transparent and visual in here and easily understood as they go through it. But this whole thing here of you're really locking in your cost, you're owning your electricity, locking in, protecting yourself from inflation. And then ultimately, after a certain amount of time, you own that outright, right? That's visually shown in the graph below, how at a certain point your system's just paid off and you own your electricity outright. And there's just that small utility bill sort of thing that's going on, but you're not paying this massive electrical amount that's escalated over the 25 years kind of thing. By the way, side note, I often put like a 3% escalation factor in here. I thought it was Massachusetts last year that had it was 20% or something, 25%. Like it was a massive average increase on their electricity bills there. So switch to solar. This is kind of all these numbers and calculations, all drives to a summary of $20,000 is really what you could save, what we're helping you save your ROI over the next 25 years with this plan. So a very clean, easy to understand, easy to walk through and have a conversation on type of page. As we keep going here, our next page is sort of showing them there's the total system cost. There's going to be rebates and incentives here, right? There's that 30% federal tax credit, and you can layer in whatever additional rebates or incentives there are, so you can show their net system cost. So we want to be able to very, visually and in a very easy way, be able to show them, yes, this is the total cost of it, but after the rebates, this is what it's going to come down to. And then again, to keep driving that ROI conversation, we've put in here that additional home value. This is being based off of the average of a 4.1 increase in average home value based off of the average home in the US. I think this was from 2020, but we source it and everything here from Zillow as well and stuff. So, so this is where you're going through. In roofing, it's a project-based conversation. Hey, this is 12 grand, 15 grand, whatever it is. In solar, it's really a conversation around electricity, owning your electricity, locking in your rates, and what that monthly cash flow is. And so we had to deal with all this complexity of how we blend those two types of conversations together. So the first thing we do is we go through our solar analysis here. And then as you get into our quote details page, here's just a standard roof quote. We've put in a bunch of standard roof items, replacing the shingles, ice and water, underlayment, whatever. And we gave them that number here and the estimated financing number as well. So this one I set up as good, better, best, and you could set this up however you want to. But here you can see we're pulling in the data from TrueDesign directly in here. We're multiplying it by per watt pricing in order to get the pricing on this. So it's a very different type of calculation than in here with your shingles, where maybe we've created a calculation in there where we're pulling in the overall roof size, the suggested waste factor. We're running that through a calculation and then dividing it by a per bundle square footage thing in order to come up with what your unit price is. Like there's a lot of complexity that you can build in here that's super powerful, but these are two different things that we had to reinvent and restructure within here, but then blend into a very seamless way here. And you can see, even though we're adding, $34,000 to this over the 12,000, the $156 from the slide before, because we can spread this out over, say, 25 years or 30 years, it's only gone from $156 to $223. Like, this is where these conversations happen on the cash flow side and just how easy it is to blend this stuff together. I won't spend much more time on this because I want to jump into the demo, but on good, better, best, here's your best. Put a premium roof in there. As the homeowner's going through signing, pick the package you want, pick the upgrades you want. These could, whether it's roofing, high profile ridge cap, ridge vents, whatever it is, or whether it's micro inverters, panel upgrades, like easy for them to just check off upgrades as they're going through this stuff. And then again, pick the colors you want. SumoQuote's almost that quote/brochure type experience. So yeah, anyways, that's a sample of our output. I want to jump in here though, because we've got about 15, 20 minutes left. I'm going to do this. I'm just going to create a brand new project, and we've got a bunch of integrations out there. This one I'm going to connect from Job Nimbus. So it automatically creates the project, pulls in the homeowner information, and it's automatically going to send documents back and forth into Job Nimbus as well. So that as the quote is built and signed, everything's getting pushed in there. We do it with other CRMs as well. I'm also going to connect this to Company Cam just because they're awesome. And then I've got all my photos in here set up and taken care of. So from here, I'm going to go to my measurements. I'm going to turn on that this project includes solar. And over on the left here, what we've added is we've added energy data and we've added a solar setup. But our measurements here, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into EagleView and I'm going to grab a TrueDesign here and I'm going to pull this in. So I had already ordered for this. I had already ordered a premium report from EagleView as well. So I'll pull that in. Although what we will do, this is I think coming live in the next couple of weeks, we'll pull in all the bid perfect data as well with TrueDesign. So the beautiful thing is you buy that TrueDesign report, you get all the bid perfect data. If you buy that TrueDesign through SumoQuote, it's only $25. Bid perfect is $18. So you get all of your roof measurements and your ability to quote solar in here for $25. Like it's the perfect bundle for going through this stuff. What I'm going to do here, you can see these categories. So I'm going to, in here, apply my premium, which is going to drop in all my measurements and everything from EagleView automatically. And then you can create whatever categories or tokens you want. So here, I'm just going to add in the number of vents that I need or goosenecks or whatever it is. So very simple and easy to put this in. And then SumoQuote calculates everything for you as you go through with all your waste percentages. Energy data. Okay, we've got a 3% escalation that we put in on this. Here's where we're tying in with third parties, utility company data and so forth. So based off the address we have, now we've got the most popular utility company for that household, for that location at the top, and then going down. And then the utility plans here, same thing. The most popular will always be at the top and then going down. So I'm going to select the residential. When we're putting in our consumption data, you can go here and very quickly, if you've got, this is where when you're talking to the homeowner, you're looking at the panel and ensuring that it can handle the load, and you've got the data there. You're passing the photo of the panel along to the EPC. But the other one is the consumption, the energy data. You're looking to get a copy of their bill. And so you could just quickly punch in, whatever an average bill is on here. And you can see here how we run all the math in order to figure out what the estimated annual consumption is. The other thing you can do here is you can come in here and you can actually just start punching this in. So typically your best practice is to see their actual bill. And you can see at the bottom of the page there how it continues to, based off of the numbers that I'm putting in, it continues to calculate and average everything for you. So we'll take care of all of that stuff, but very easy to use, very complex behind the scenes kind of thing. Solar setup, we've got our federal tax credit preloaded in there. We could add another rebate in here. Let's say it's the California state rebate. And I'm just going to put in $1,500 kind of thing. So you can preload these things, but anyways, the whole goal of this is there's a ton of opportunity in showing and talking about that rebate, and we want to make it very easy and simple for you to use here. Pete, I'm going to go back here. I'm basically just going to create a new solar report. Okay, so from this, I'm going to go to my system overview. And by the way, all these pages, toggle them on, toggle them off, drag and drop them around. Very easy to use as you go through here. Once you've kind of got your setup done, very, very fast as you go through this. You can see here we've got a system size of a 6.9 kilowatt size that we designed in TrueDesign up here, and it's 105% offset. Let's say the homeowner says, hey, we know we're buying an electric vehicle, we know we're putting in a hot tub, we want to actually maybe up this to more like 120% offset. Can you give us, a proposal with a larger system size for this? So here's where, in a very seamless way, we can go to our solar design and we can go here to TrueDesign, and we're going to say, let's do more like 8.5 type system for them. So right in that SumoQuote experience, we wanted to make it, even though we're going to be navigating into EagleView here, we wanted to make it very easy for you to have it feel like this seamless experience, whether it's the measurement or the design side with everything. Pete, I'm going to walk through quickly sort of how I often use this, and then I'll make sure that there's going to be some interesting stuff that you might want to pull in here. But when you order TrueDesign, you get the max panel out. Everything is on here. So for your roofing people, super easy. Everything is in here. What I often do, you can see I just turned off one of the slopes because I know we're not using that one. I'm going to turn off another one of the slopes here. One of the cool things with TrueDesign here, my ease of going through here, I'm going to take a couple of these panels and delete them, but I love to just emphasize this shade data thing again. You can see this tree, how the heat map is on here, and that we're partially in it, so we're 65% effective versus this 80% over here. The ease of use of this, of just being able to take this, drag and drop it over, and now we're 67% effective. Or we move it over here and we're 73% effective. Like how easy TrueDesign has made it to just interact with this and function with this with just some basic training. Pete, I don't know if you want to chime in on this at all. I just love this part of it, that it's so easy, but it also gives me that efficiency and that data as I'm going through it.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would chime in is, Ryan, I mean, how much solar design experience did you have going into this, right? So that's by design, that it's straightforward. The other thing I think I would add here too is there is a bit of differentiation here when reviewing the proposal and the design with the homeowner, helping them understand why you may or may not have used certain areas of the roof. And we really when building this tool, tried to make sure that it was easily used and understood, but didn't lose any sight of accuracy and the technical requirements for solar design. So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it's a good point there that this can be done hand in hand sitting with the homeowner. And we wanted to have that seamless, you're designing it and then you're presenting it all sort of in there at the kitchen table or virtually or whatever it is. But yeah, the ease even for the homeowner to understand this stuff and how brilliant it makes you look in helping educate them. Any chance you can get to educate and build trust with the homeowner just increases your odds of closing those deals. So this is not just a great design tool, it's a great sales tool as you
yeah,
go through this stuff. I'm going to do this, Pete, because honestly, you've built in a bunch of cheats here, which are brilliant. So rather than going through and actually manually toggling a bunch of stuff and everything else, we can go over here and whether it's the production, whether it's the minimum TSRF, um, I'm often just in the system size here. And let's say we're going like, hey, we want this to be, an 8.4 kilowatt size. You've given us the optimal layout for the most efficient panels and the placement and everything else ready to go. And all I had to do was punch in a number.
yeah. I mean, you could, we wanted to make sure that, I mean, if you wanted to get in and play with the rectangles on a roof and exact placement, for sure you could. But your sales reps, they really don't need to know anything about solar design other than this is the electricity I wanted to generate, or this is the system size that I want from it. And that's what we like to call finding the system. So we preload everything on the roof that could possibly fit according to the setting and whatever settings and equipment you're using. Preload everything and make it super easy for that sales rep to find the system that's best for the homeowner. And that's that's a good example, one of those filters that you just used there, Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and you gave me a sneak peek on a few other things that you can do as far as just dragging and dropping across a slope where you want specific panels just in a specific location and how fast that can be added, or even how you want to, if the homeowner is considering taking down a tree, how you can sort of erase or scrub out a tree and all the data associated with it. Like the stuff you guys do, is really quite brilliant, but makes it the reason it's so brilliant, obviously, besides the accuracy of the shade data and stuff, is just how easy it is to use with this stuff. So, yeah, this is amazing. This blows a lot of people's minds as we go through this with them. Typically, I'm going to close this. So right away, we're back in here. You can see our system size has been updated here in SumoQuote. So we've got this. We're at that 128% offset. I'm going to go back and I'm going to jump into this report that we've been building. And you can look here and see that new project data is available. And all I need to do is click review. I'm going to hit this. We're going to apply the new solar design data that we have for the system. And when I go to my system overview here, everything's been updated in here, right? We've got our system size updated, our offset, everything's available in here. Like the seamlessness of being able to go through this stuff, it's just so easy as we go through here. Here on our quote details, good, better, best options, right? I'm going to go here. I'm going to punch in, that this is going to be 475 per watt that we're doing. And, we've got our quote down here and stuff, and everything's been added based off of the system that we were just designing. So there's a number of kind of like small little things as you go through that stuff. That's where I would encourage you for, I would say, we're offering, obviously demos of SumoQuote, and whether it's the roofing or the roofing and solar sort of thing, to be able to sign up for that. Anybody that signs up for SumoQuote Solar, we're making introductions straight over to the EagleView team right away so that they can take you through some training on their side as well. But we want to make this as seamless and easy from both sides. We've got a very deep partnership that we built, and we really respect and appreciate EagleView and how we get to work with them just as people with this stuff as well. But we're certainly all dedicated to, at the end of the day, giving you just a phenomenal customer experience and making it as easy as possible to add this stuff. Pete, is there anything that I should touch on quickly here as we're going through this stuff? But there's certainly a couple other things I know I want to make sure I get to before we start wrapping things up.
Yeah, I'll be quick then, and I'll speak. Kudos to you and the team. I mean, as we've already established, I've been in solar for a long time. I've yet to see an easier way to combine roofing and solar into one proposal, and the way that you've done it is just, it's really exciting. So kudos to you and the team, and I'm excited to see more people out there selling solar. So
Awesome. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. So, couple extra things here. We have just wrapped up, literally as of last night, I believe, our Roofer's Guide to Solar here. So, we're grateful. We've got a great partner in Adam Bensman, the roof strategist. Adam's got a fantastic solar sales program as well. Adam wrote our foreword for it. He does a lot of speaking out there with Owens Corning and other great companies like that. But we basically want to give you how do you understand solar as a roofing contractor? How can you get into it? What is the opportunity? What's the jargon? What are some of the details? And so we've got this put together where you can go through and you can get the details on this stuff. You can start to see some of the numbers. You can start to get some of the jargon under your belt and really see like how easy it is to add solar to your roofing company. So yeah, lots of exciting stuff with this. We're going to send this out to everybody that's a part of the webinar here today. And then I know I had promised, I want to hit this one. Oops, I should be in present mode instead. There we go. Some interesting things here. I come from the roofing side. I've certainly spent, again, hundreds of interviews and digging into solar very, very deeply over the last couple of years here. But these are a few of the things as a roofing contractor that I was like, oh man, that is a massive opportunity. So the first one is, if you're doing insurance sales, your ability to say to the homeowner, once you've kind of got them signed and queued up and everything else, hey, Mr. Mrs. Homeowner, I want to bring this up because I'd be doing a disservice if I didn't. What if I could let you keep your insurance proceeds for the roof? So you could put a $15,000, $20,000 check in your bank account, and I could essentially get rid of your electricity bill at no additional cost. Like, it's a bit mind-blowing when you put it like that. But this whole concept of adding solar and your roof to a solar financing loan and letting the customer keep their insurance proceeds, like your ability to lock in and secure insurance deals with something that nobody else, none of the other competitors that homeowners are probably talking to are positioning in this type of way. This is such a significant and easy way, and not just to differentiate yourself and let your homeowner keep those insurance proceeds, but to increase that job size from 20, 30 grand to 50, 60, 70 grand kind of thing. So one of the interesting ones, we had one of our beta users. He's a guy, he came from the solar side, but he launched a roofing company because he just saw the trend was it needed to start from roofing. So he did this 3 years ago. He hadn't started selling solar yet, even though that's the background he came from, because there just wasn't the right tool there. He started using our roofing and solar tool. The first 5 jobs that he sent out, he closed 3 of them, including solar. So 60% close rate, and all of those included solar with it. This is what he does. He goes and he puts together the quote, and he does the good, better, best. So he does a good roof, he does a premium roof, and then he does a good roof plus solar. But he just does a small system size. He does like a 4 kilowatt system just to put in, hey, let's introduce this as a part of the conversation. And so he punches in, he knows the utility company, he knows the most popular plan sort of thing, and he throws in sort of what an average consumption is from the homeowner. And then if the homeowner expresses interest in a deeper conversation, then he sits with them, does more of the full design and build out, and gives them that full presentation. But he includes it in every conversation that he's having. And again, the results of just how much he's closing, it's unbelievable. So a bit of that offering of just include it, make it a part of every single conversation. The average quote in SumoQuote, where it's offering upgrades right now, and it comes back with almost $2,100 worth of upgrades signed. It happens just because you put the upgrades in front of the homeowner, and then it becomes a natural part of the conversation, and the homeowner says, oh, interesting, tell me about these. And they end up signing off on a bunch of them. So doing that, the consistent offering, great strategy on things. And then finally, your previous customers. If you look back, the ideal time to have solar installed, it's with a roof that's 5, 6 years old or newer. So you've already got a lead list of hundreds, if not thousands, of customers to start selling solar to from the jobs that you just sold over the last 5 years. So again, it doesn't need to be something you like. Obviously, you can test it out, get comfortable with it, get going with it with newer projects. But then after a handful of months, your ability to look back through your lead list and just leverage the opportunity through there is crazy. Like, it opens up massive revenue opportunity for you there. So, whew, man, Pete, this has been good and busy and full. We're at our time. So obviously, anybody that needs to take off and get going, we appreciate you and everything else. But if there are questions, Pete, I'm assuming you can hang on for a few
Yeah,
extra minutes here, and
sure.
let's see if we've got any questions from people that we can answer quickly right now or go through with them. And it looks like Jeff might have been answering some questions as we go through there as well, which is great. But I'm just watching the chat here to see if we've got any quick questions kind of thing coming through. Because if we can answer those for you real time here right now, then ideal. Hopefully we can. If not, we've got the QR code on the screen, and just reach out for a quick demo and check out just how easy it is, digging a little bit deeper, and we can talk about your specifics, whether it's the CRM you're using, the photo app you're using, whatever it is, and we can show you just how SumoQuote integrates with almost everything out there, kind of thing, to make life easy for you. So, Paul, if I sell a deal, who does the install? Pete, you want to handle this one?
Yeah. So we covered a little bit earlier about an EPC, or engineering, procurement, and construction company. So there's a number of organizations out there that will gladly do the install for you. In fact, they're looking for it. We as well as SumoQuote are very interested in making those introductions for you. And if you want to do it on your own, it's about finding who's doing the best installs in your area and partnering with them. They're going to help you understand what equipment you should be selling for how much, and just give you some of the inputs. And honestly, SumoQuote does the rest there. So it's about networking and relationship building with the local EPCs or installation companies out there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly it. So the easiest way, if you haven't sold solar before, I wouldn't bite off the full trying to do all the install yourself and stuff like that. Although as you mature throughout the years, you can certainly advance to that for sure. The EPCs, that's the easy way to get going. So
Yep.
we're happy to try and make introductions if we can, but to find a good local EPC and interview them, make sure they're credible and stuff, and you're off to the races. So I'll give it just a few more seconds here to see if, Brandon was just asking, what does EPC stand for again? So EPC is engineering, procurement, and construction. So what an EPC is going to do is, once you've sold that job, they're going to look for certain data, if you've been able to provide it or not, for a site inspection or a site survey. They're going to solidify the CAD drawings and design, which EagleView, once you've sold it through TrueDesign, you can actually upgrade to permit-ready drawings, which is amazing and something that nobody else really offers out there. So, but then they're going to do all the permitting, and they're going to do all the install, and they're going to be able to handle everything from there. Depending on the EPC you're working with, they might say to you, hey, there's varying degrees of ways of the amount of work that we can take on, depending on how much you want to bite off or have us do. So they'll take on everything from sale onwards, or you might start to take on getting the roof solar ready and installing brackets and stuff like that as you keep going as well. Again, we can introduce you to EPCs, engineering, procurement, and construction. Reach out to us. We're happy to make introductions to that. So, Brandon, the easiest way with SumoQuote all the time, and I'll put in the chat here, is hello@sumoquote.com. And if you hit us there, anybody that is a user of SumoQuote, any account, we've got a customer success manager, or essentially you've got your own personal concierge at SumoQuote here. So anything you need, any setup help you need, any questions you've got, you will have a customer success manager assigned to your company. So, and those CSMs, they'll be able to help make some suggestions or introduce you to EPCs as well out there. Bill, yes, sending us a link to the ebook. We're going to get that sent out in the next few days here. So Yeah, as a follow-up of this, as a thank you because you're on here and everything today, we'll make sure we get that ebook sent out to you. We tried to make it a light enough read, but also give you a lot of quality information there to make your life easier. So absolutely, that'll get sent out. Thanks, man. You know what? I don't see anyone else. Oh, Marcus. Marcus is, yeah, there you go. Thanks, Marcus. I wasn't sure if his question or what, but awesome. Let's wrap it up there. Pete, thank you so much, man. EagleView, you guys are to work with, great partners, but really appreciate you making some time for us here today as well.
Absolutely. I'm really happy to be here and just so excited to see what you've built and ready to help everybody get into solar. So thank you.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you, everyone. Have a good one. We'll follow up with a bunch of information for you, and have a great day out there.